Welcome to Entreprogrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
We're live. By some definition of live. I think, Chuck, you seem really tired.
I just barely woke up.
I'm going on 4 hours of sleep here, so...
Yeah, that's where I was at yesterday. And then, this morning I got up and was getting my kids ready. And my wife looks at me and says, "You're falling asleep. Go back to bed." I was like, I argued with her a little bit because I didn't want to make her do everything. And finally I'm like, okay, well, if you're okay with it. She's like, I'm fine with it. So I went back to bed and I woke up like 20 minutes ago.
Nice.
I'm trying to get everything hooked up because, I just got back yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, where were you again?
Seattle, Microsoft Build.
Okay.
So anyway, so I just crashed hard.
Yeah, this week I was at Perry Marshall did a seminar this week. So I was there in Chicago from Monday through like 2 a.m. last night. So I'm on about 4 hours of sleep right now.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, the seminar was pretty awesome. He was calling it Rosetta Stone, and it was basically, he came up with this it's kind of it's basically a diagram. It's like a tool, and it's kind of like it's almost like it's a master tool for basically solving any marketing problem. It kind of encompasses everything that he teaches into this one really compact diagram. It's like a cheat sheet kind of thing. So we spent 3 days unpacking this thing, and it was pretty awesome. It was very intense, like a fire hose. But I got to meet a bunch of cool people, and then I actually met one of the people I met is a lady named Nancy Schlesinger, she's got a recruiting agency. And I've actually wanted to meet her for a while because they do a lot of technical recruiting. And she's developed this process where she has this very, very intense process that she takes people through when she works with companies, and she gets very specific about the type of people that they're trying to hire. And then she has a very intense screening process. So they might start with 1,000 people and they end up with like 4 at the end of it. And they guarantee, because they have this process dialed in so well, they have a money back guarantee. So if the person that they hired doesn't work out, they will redo the whole process for free for the company.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it's kind of the opposite of the way that most recruiting works. So, but most of what she's doing is she's screening for personality and character skills versus a lot of like, you still want to have the technical skills, but it's more like about cultural fit and the type of person that you're hiring versus a specific, technical skill set. So I think that she could potentially really, get some kind of synergy going where we could send her people for the positions she's got available. And maybe we still only get 50 out of 1,000 people get through, but because we're of the types of things that we're talking about and teaching people, I think that it would be a better, like, she's going to get better quality applications from us probably than just like monster.com. Right. So there could potentially be something there for us to kind of be like a farm team for her or something.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so I didn't talk to her too much about it, but I got her contact info, and I'm going to be doing an appointment with her in the next week or two.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that was pretty exciting. I was hoping that Manny and John are not going to be joining us. I was hoping to hear about Manny's launch, if he's done it yet.
They hate us. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, I get that. That's what they're up to. So this week I was at Build, and I shouldn't go to these conferences when I'm not in a good emotional state. Let's just say that.
Oh, okay.
But it's not something that's very common for me.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so I got down there on Sunday, and I went to the convention center. I spent about 15 minutes total in the convention center on Monday,
Okay.
which was the first day of the conference. Now they have 2 keynotes on Monday morning for Build.
Okay.
And I think they're both together scheduled to run for about 3.5 hours. And it's one right after the other. So you basically sit in this gigantic room on these uncomfortable chairs. I learned my lesson last year. So this year I pulled up the live stream and I laid in my hotel bed and I watched it there.
Nice.
So it was funny because I was talking to some people who sat through it, and I said, yeah, I got up and peed once and nobody took my spot, and I ordered room service halfway through
it. There you go.
So that worked out fine. And then I just took it easy. I feel like I've kind of been stealing myself emotionally for this weekend because the funeral is tomorrow. We're actually going over to dress my dad tonight.
Okay.
Because we're Mormons. We bury people in their temple clothes if they go through the temple.
Okay.
And so my mom, I don't know where she got the idea, but I guess she dressed both of her parents in their temple clothes.
Okay.
For the funerals.
Okay.
So all of my brothers and sisters and I are going over.
Okay.
And anyway, man. So tonight is going to be fairly emotional. Tomorrow's I'm going to be a complete wreck. But then it's all kind of over with.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel a little guilty talking about it that way, but it's not. I'm not looking forward to other events that are going to, be extremely emotionally taxing. So
yeah, no, I understand.
But anyway, so yeah, but yeah, I slept a lot in Seattle.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Tuesday we went in and we recorded an episode, and it turns out that Richard Campbell's Zoom corrupted the files. So he apparently was able to recover them.
Oh, okay.
So he sent them to me and said, if you if there's something wrong with them, let me know and we'll do it again.
Was that for .NET Rocks then, or
JavaScript Jabber?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Richard and Carl and Bharat. Bharat is one of the guys at Microsoft.
Okay.
They kind of organized the whole thing. So
okay.
Yeah, and but I just talked to him about what was going on, and I basically said, yeah, I'm a little antisocial, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. I'm letting you. That it's not that I don't want to hang out with you. It's just that I'm not really up for hanging out with a lot of people for a lot of the time. Yeah. But yeah, then Wednesday we recorded 4 episodes of JavaScript Jabber. So that was
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I made contact with a handful of companies that may sponsor. So that's always also been helpful. And then I also, and this is interesting, I can actually pull it up if you want to see it, but one of the things my business coach has me doing is he had me put together an org chart for my business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for like all 2 of us that work in the business.
Yeah.
Well, if you count my editor, all 3 of us that work in the business. And I think or the editor's Eric, but I think he has a couple people that work for him, but I didn't even worry about that. But then what he did is he had me write out job roles. And so I put together a job role for my production manager and just list all the different parts of her job and the processes that she's responsible for. And that was extremely helpful. So I'm going to be having a conversation with Michelle on Monday at the team meeting and basically saying, hey, look, I put together this job role. Finally, I've been talking about doing it for a while now. And these are the things that I want you to be able to take care of for me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I want them off my plate as much as possible. And yeah, I'm going to put together a job role for hosts and co-hosts and basically say, look, these are the expectations I have. if you're going to be a host on one of the shows, and if you can't do this, then I understand if you want to leave.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to say that in so many words, but basically I'm going to say, look, this, you know, I want to make sure that the shows are awesome. We've had some issues with people showing up. So, you know, here's the role for a host. And if you can't fill the role, I understand people are busy.
Right.
Yeah. But
Nice.
that allows me to just kind of hand that off. So if I go recruit a new host, I can say, look, this is kind of what we expect.
That's
right?
Yeah, that's really, really good. That's really
And
good.
the same thing, I've gone through, I think, 3 bookkeepers in the last 6 months.
Okay.
And there are a couple of things that I want them to do for me that they just haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to create a job role for them, and I'm just going to take it to my current bookkeeper and say, this is what I need you to do. And most of it's stuff they're doing anyway. But the big thing is that I really want them to meet with me on the phone, whatever, right? Just meet with me every month and say, look, we're looking at your numbers. This is what we see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when looking through your numbers, you know, here are some of the bigger ones. Do you need these things?
Mm-hmm.
And
you might, so there's like, it seems like there's like a bookkeeper role, and then there's more of like, it sounds like what you're looking for is almost more of a part-time CFO.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and like I haven't been able to find even the bookkeeper we have for Simple Programmer. He's awesome. He doesn't seem to be I've never seen him. He gives us advice. The only advice I've ever gotten from him is like on how to structure accounts, how to track expenses, and that sort of thing.
Right.
He's never stepped out and been given us any feedback about like areas that he sees, like, you know, oh, you're spending a lot here, you know, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you might be, I mean, just be aware, like that might not be something that any bookkeeper is going to be willing to do.
Well, so the folks that I've been talking to, they're an accounting firm here nearby.
Okay.
And they're not the accounting firm that does my taxes, which is interesting and something that I'm thinking about. But I really like my my CPA. So anyway, when I hired them, I asked them if they could do that, and they said they could.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And so if I specify that in the job role and then just tell them, hey, look, you know, these are the expectations I have, you know, let me know if there's anything here you're not willing to do.
Right.
And then if they say they're willing to do it, then I feel like we have a verbal agreement that that's what they're going to do. And so then I can, you know, I can say, hey, look, you know, you guys verbally agreed to this job and you're not doing it. So, you know, how do we fix this? Right.
Yep.
If you want to keep my business, how do we fix this?
Yep.
But anyway, it's just been really great. I've actually been working on the job roles for the sponsorship, sales, and marketing stuff that I've been doing and stuff. And anyway, it's brought a ton of clarity. It's been really, really helpful. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably will need to do that in the near future.
Yep. And then he also made me, I keep saying made me, but I've been pretty happy with where this has all gone. So they have a business dashboard, and it's just a spreadsheet that you fill in every week.
Okay.
And so you put in all your account balances and all of your key performance indicators. And basically, one of the things that was really helpful for me was I put in all of the outstanding invoices and stuff.
Oh.
And so then the team meeting, I just whip that thing out and go, okay, you know, we've got to bring in a little more this week. Or, hey, look, we're sitting on, like right now, we're sitting on $20,000 of unpaid invoices. And so it's like, hey, you know, we've got to figure out how to get these paid, and just stuff like that. So it kind of keeps me on top of that kind of thing. And then some of the other key performance indicators for me are things like, how many leads did you find this week? How many follow-ups did you find this week?
Yeah.
How many, you know, this, that, or the other did you, you know? And so then I can really keep track. Okay, did I go out and find as many leads as I should have? Did I go out and follow up with as many people as I needed to follow up with? And did I, you know, how many people converted? How many sales calls did I do? And one of the key performance indicators for Michelle are things like how many episodes released on time, and or how many episodes didn't release on time, but basically it's what percentage of the show's released on time, because it's going to be her job to make sure that Eric has everything he has, because usually if they get released late, it's because I've gotten him the files late. And now that we're using Zoom, she or he could go log into Zoom and just pull the file.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And so I feel like at this point, unless it's something like the stuff from Build or something like that, where or it gets recorded a different way for whatever reason, if it gets released late, then that means there was a breakdown in the chain that wasn't me.
Right.
And so just working through that stuff, but then I can just see it. Okay, every week, here's where we are. And I've also specified a few extra things for Michelle to take care of every week. So anyway, it's been really good. I'm also rethinking some of the systems that I'm using. I think I'm going to move back to MatterMost from Convo. We've been using Convo as our chat.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of a blend between like forum software and chat software.
Okay.
And you can put conversations in, and then people can reply to the threads.
Right.
And Slack has that as threads.
Slack's threads are terrible.
But I hate their threads.
Yeah.
Anyway, so MatterMost is free, and it's less of a pain to get people into.
Okay.
So I'm probably just going to move everybody back to that.
Okay.
And you can do almost all of the same. They pretty much mirrored Slack's API and everything as much as they could.
Okay.
So anything you can do in Slack, you can almost everything you can do in MatterMost.
Okay.
And it's all self-hosted and stuff like that, so I don't have to fiddle with that, and I can put as many people in and keep the history without paying for every user. And then I moved everything back to Trello, and that's another thing the org chart did. Sorry, I'm rambling, but I'm excited. So the org chart, I split things up into operations, administration, production, and marketing and sales.
Okay.
And so I hold the owner role and the CEO role, and I've written out those already as far as what their job responsibilities are. But mostly it's make sure things keep running, right?
Right.
The owner is more strategic and CEO is more day-to-day.
Yep.
And then like under operations, it's, things like maintaining the social media accounts and, all of kind of the, the email lists and all that crap. And then admin is making sure everybody has access to things, making sure the taxes get paid and all that garbage. And then the sales and marketing is, basically sponsorship sales at this point.
Right.
But the thing that's been nice about it, I keep moving my hand up and I see the white balance.
It gets dark and then it gets bright and then it gets
anyway, so the thing is I set up problems, and then I'm moving off of Asana.
Okay.
Onto
Trello. What swayed your decision on that?
Well, for one, Asana just kind of got a little bit unwieldy.
Okay.
The other thing is that Trello is really easy for me to, at a glance, see what's going on, and I think that was the big thing.
The list view is just so limiting.
Yeah, and so I can just look at it because the way that I set it up is I have a backlog, and then I have basically a to-do, and the to-do is somebody committed to doing this week.
Right.
Or this month, whatever. But if it has a due date, it'll go into due.
Yeah.
And I can't give people due dates unless they agree to them. So that being said, then it, each week we can do the accountability, right? So then at our weekly meeting, I can come in and I can say, hey, Michelle, looks like you got everything done. Great job. And I can give her, a pat on the back. And then, we can talk about maybe some of the things that didn't work out well, or some of the things that did work out well, or, just whatever. So anyway, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at there. So
nice.
It's almost more of a dashboard than it is a task manager, but I am dropping things into that backlog as well. So whenever I run across something that I need done, I drop it in there. And then I'm making sure that I go into Convo and tell her, hey, can you get this done by this date? And if she says yes, then I set the due date. And if she says no, then it means that I've got to do it, or I've got to push the due date.
Right.
But and I'm going to talk through a lot of this with her on Monday, but basically that's the plan. Is then if she commits to a due date, then it'll show up in that part of Trello, and then I expect her to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And that way I can maintain accountability, which I think was a major part of the problem with some of the other folks that I had working for me.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that they weren't good workers. It was just that I didn't have a good system for accountability. So
yeah. And you've got to have you've also got to have a good system for keeping them busy. And that's where I usually struggle. It's like, if somebody's not able to just be completely self-directed, it's very hard for me to carve out the time to keep somebody else working, make sure that I'm using their time fully.
Yeah.
Rodrigo is pretty much self-directed, so that's nice. I don't have to worry about that.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same position, right? If I have to babysit somebody, it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, so that was a lot of what I got done around build. Most of that was just in one day, though. It was Wednesday evening. I couldn't sleep, and I just sat down and hammered a lot of that out. But actually, let me share my screen because I can just show you this.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. This is pretty amazing. To see, it would be interesting to do a 2-year retrospective compared to where you were. Because my goodness, you've come so far, and even just the last year, systematizing all this stuff.
Well, that's the thing, is if I can get it to the point where I don't think it's ever going to be 100% running itself.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can get it most of the way there, where I'm just, I'm filling a role in the business, I'm not scrambling to keep the ship afloat.
Yeah.
Then it changes everything. So let's see. Share screen. And I'm sorry to everybody who is just getting audio on this, but
we'll narrate.
Well, they can come back and watch it too. I will try and make sure that
there we go.
So anyway, so this is the production manager role.
Nice.
So this is our corporate mission. And then these are our values. So that's kind of first and foremost. This is how we're doing it. And if we're getting this done and we're fudging on this, we're still failing.
Right.
And then so she's the single point of accountability for day-to-day content production of the business based on the vision, missions, and values. Mm-hmm. And then so podcast scheduling, finding potential podcast guests. And what I need to do here actually is so if we back up and go to standard operating procedures, there we go. So I have a process for inviting guests.
Okay.
And so
I'm gonna link that
here. So we're gonna link that right here.
You're building a wiki.
Yeah, basically.
In Google Docs.
Yep. So anyway, you can kind of see what's going on here.
Are you using Team Drives, by the way?
Yeah, this is all in a Team Drive.
Yeah, Team Drives are awesome. I am loving that feature. The only thing I don't like is I wish you could still share folders, but that does kind of negate the whole purpose.
Yeah.
But for us, we're starting to do some coaching, so it would be nice to be able to share the individual student folder outside the organization, but I'm just sharing usually it's just 1 or 2 documents that I want to share with them, so it's not that big of a deal. But
yeah, anyway, the other thing I've realized too, though, is this process actually has this process built into it.
Oh yeah, inviting.
And so I'm going to separate them.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And you've got a nested function.
Yeah.
You need to refactor.
Yeah, I need to do an extract function.
Yeah. We need Resharper for business.
Yeah, there we go. They're actually building a lot of that into Visual Studio Code, incidentally. But
That's cool. But just as a side note, I was stunned. I was just reading. I didn't really pay attention to Visual Studio Code. That is really remarkable what Microsoft has done. I saw a survey that they have like 40% market share in the web development space.
Mhm.
Like that's another
wouldn't
factor
know.
why my Sublime stuff tanked. I think was I didn't I didn't realize how like that's just amazing because Microsoft was so hated.
Yeah,
I mean, and so they might. There's a Mac version too. I'm assuming, right?
yeah. Windows,
So-
Mac, and Linux.
Okay, yeah, because they've really they're like the dominant player now for web developers. That's just stunning.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So then in operations, it's going to be. Actually, I think I'm going to put it right here. So removing podcast hosts from shows.
Okay.
So this process was one I just was working on the other day.
Okay.
And
So this is for when it doesn't work out.
so adding, where is it?
Remove a top one. Yeah.
There we go.
Removing podcast hosts.
So I need to
this is
finish,
good.
but like this is all nested too, right?
Right.
This step, because it's kind of complicated.
Yeah.
And I may use it for other things like, adding, because this step is actually adding or removing people from a calendar invite.
Yeah. Yep.
So since that may be used for other things, it just links to the kind of global one. Same thing for Google Apps. You can create teams in Google Apps or in G Suite.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I'm planning on doing some of that once I hire some more people.
Okay.
For my teams as well as for the shows. And so
Can you
I
add
left it
external
general.
people?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
So anyway, so I need to link this one over here. But anyway, so that's the idea, is you can kind of follow step by step.
Yeah. So this is the job description kind of becomes the master index then of all the
processes.
That's really, I really like that. That's pretty awesome.
And then that was a big one for me, was maintain all processes and documentation for the production and production manager role.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm doing a lot of this right now just because I have to train her on it anyway.
Right.
But she's going to be responsible for maintaining all of these processes.
Yes, that's good.
And that way I don't have to worry about it. She'll keep it up to date. If she needs to change something, she can. But then we can just work through some clarification, and I can just enable her to do her job instead of actually pushing all this stuff. So
right.
Anyway, and then the Trello boards, well, a Trello board's a Trello board, but anyway, let's see. Yeah, I'm still getting my hands around this, but like content production. So we've had a couple of hosts bow out of React Roundup.
Okay.
Right. So I assigned those to her. I set a due date. I need to do that. So, but I actually wound up doing this while I was writing the process.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because then,
so I can just mark these off.
Right.
But yeah. So then I have Ruby rants, JavaScript rants, and Angular rants, and I did the first episode of JavaScript rants like 2 weeks ago, and then my dad died.
Oh,
I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I've had a few people saying, "Are you going to do more? We want more of these."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
they're coming.
Yeah, sorry, but yeah. So here's another one, right? It's to give Eric access to Zoom.
Yeah.
And I already did that actually, so I just need to talk to him and make sure that everything's good. But yeah, so then once it's done, then I can move it over here.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, that's kind of the plan. So
one other thought is, do you have anybody that's responsible for maintaining these boards other than you? Like, it probably shouldn't be you, right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to make that part of the admin section of things, because somebody's going to have to do the agendas for the team meetings. And,
okay.
And that kind of thing. And so I think
up to date.
Yeah, so that'll be part of their job. And I think I'm going to wind up being in charge overall of admin. but I'm gonna have sub roles under there, and I figure I'm gonna wind up like under production. All of that is Michelle's responsibility, but some of it falls onto Eric because he's editing and writing show notes, and some of that's going to fall onto me and the other hosts because ultimately we're responsible for making sure the recordings happen and things like that.
Right.
So there are going to be other roles that fall under there, and so I'm going to wind up reporting to her in a certain sense on those things.
Okay.
And same thing like under admin and ops. I'll be having her handle stuff under there.
Yeah, that's cool.
But basically then, on the org chart, or the org chart's not really set up for that the way that they had me do it. But I'll probably have some master list of all the roles that I have and who's filling those roles. And so, that should manage a lot of that stuff. So then essentially it's, hey, look, you fill all these roles. So these are all your jobs, or these are all the processes you're responsible for.
Right. Yeah, that's great. And then it's granular. So if you bring somebody in, you can carve off chunks of that, and it's encapsulated. Yeah,
because I think eventually this is going to either become too much for Michelle and I to handle together, or it just may make sense at some point to say, hey, look, you know what? I want you to focus a little more deeply on, podcast promotion. So we're going to bring somebody else in to handle some of the admin stuff.
Right. That makes sense.
And so, but yeah, it makes it easy, right? Because then I just take that role off of her plate and hand it to somebody else.
Yeah. Cool.
So.
Very cool. Well, that's wow.
I'm super excited about it though, because I feel like I've been kind of running around and scrambling around to make stuff work. And
this has been a 2-year battle for you, 2 to 3 year battle.
Yeah, well,
it's really coming together.
Yeah. And I kind of wanted to do this when I had him for me, but she fought me on some of this. And,
exactly.
And that was part of the issue.
Yeah, this is where, that's what's funny about this. Like, we could have been at this, if she'd cooperated, you could have been at this point, like, a year and a half ago.
Maybe. I don't know if I would have had the clarity of direction and things like that that I have now after working with Jamie and then Scott. But at the same time, I mean, this gives me all the visibility I need in the business, and that was what wasn't working for me under other arrangement. I mean, everything was getting done, which was really nice.
Yeah, but it was a black box.
As soon as I handed it off.
Right.
And I needed to understand what exactly was happening in the business, and I wanted to optimize some of that stuff.
Right.
And I couldn't.
Well, and the funny thing is you have more people now, right? So that was the fear, was like, oh, I don't want to let go of this because it'll eliminate work. I'll work myself out of a job, but you actually have more people.
Yeah, I do. I have a couple of people working for me now, and I'm probably, once I get the sponsorship machine cranking, I had that stall out on me a little bit too, because I just kind of let everything go the last 2 weeks. Because I had built some momentum, and then I had let it drop.
Yeah,
which is understandable, but it's the way it is, right? I mean, you can't undo that. But yeah, as soon as I get some more sponsorship money flowing in, I'm planning on hiring another person.
Yeah.
And have
like
them
help for the sales position, or
I'm trying to decide if I want them to do sales or ops.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Ops would probably be easier to outsource first.
I think so too. I mean, sales would be the thing that would take the heaviest burden off of me.
Yes, but it's also going to be, that's like.
But it requires more personal touch, and I know what I'm doing there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's going to be hard to find the right person for that.
Yeah, but the thing is I can outsource part of it, right? So drumming up leads, I don't have to do that.
It's like internet research, right?
Yeah, basically. Right. And, so I'm just going to build a process. Hey, look, this is where I go look for leads, and this is how I find information on the leads.
Right.
And here's how I reach out to them, and here's how I follow up. And then I can just do the sales calls when they get scheduled.
That'll be easy. Yeah, that'll be easy because basically That's an easy one to audition.
Yeah.
It's just called make a Google spreadsheet.
Yep.
So.
Yep, exactly. But the other thing is that if the rest of it is a process that already works, then, it just boils down to doing that internet research. And the rest of it is, hey, just do what I do.
Right.
And then if you have an idea for how to make it better, I'll be delighted to hear it, And that's the other thing that's funny is I think I've gotten Michelle to the point now where if she needs something specific or if she's not happy with the way something works, she'll tell me. But, a lot of times they come into this and they don't want to rock the boat. And I'm like, rock the freaking boat. Because if I don't have a good reason for what we're doing, then it forces me to go back and look at it. And if I do have a good reason, then I can tell you. And then right? So then that informs all the other decisions that you're going to make on my behalf.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's just and just being able to look at this and just see it and understand it, at a glance. It's just killer. So
nice.
Anyway.
Nice. Well, you know what? You're probably going to need a higher level dashboard or a higher level Trello board too at some point. At least for me, what I always find is that I usually end up with like 6 or 7 Trello boards, and then it's like, I can't. It's like once you get past like 2 or 3 of them, it's hard to start to see what's going on.
Yeah. For me, it's all just departmental, so I have the 4 boards.
Okay.
And I don't know that I'm really going to grow beyond that.
Okay.
I mean, I guess if we expand and have, let's say we add another 10 or 20 podcasts, production might need to break into teams. But, honestly, admin ops and sales, I just don't see growing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Much beyond, a couple people each.
Yeah, as long as you're not tracking deals on a board for the sales stuff, that's where.
Well, I am on Pipedrive, but
right.
Even then, it's even if we got to like 20 or 30 shows, I really don't think we'd need more than one salesperson. Because if they can sell a package for 3 months on a podcast, and we have a number of sponsors that are renewing, their job is just to keep that, pipeline.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we'd have so much inventory that we just,
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what I've been hitting this week.
Very cool.
And for once, I'm being around people kind of wears me out anyway. But this week, holy cow, it was hard. I looked at Carl at one point because he's like, hey, you want to come to dinner with us? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And then an hour later, I looked at him and said, Carl, I can't come. I was like, I'm just so exhausted. I can't, I'm like, my emotional energy is sapped, and it's just wearing me down physically way too fast.
Yeah.
Of course, then I got back to my hotel room, watched a TV show, slept for an hour, and then I was ready to work on this stuff.
Nice. So, so I've got a few things going on. I've got, my mouse isn't working. So, I talked last week or the week before about my idea about testing lead magnets, where I can just have my my writer that I've been working with, I can just have her throw together a PDF that kind of fits the description of what I'm testing. And so I started testing. I got the idea I had was seven habits of highly successful software developers, which I liked because it's like a kind of a semi-specific promise, but it's also vague enough that it doesn't eliminate too many people.
Right.
So the one I'd tried before was the Are You Underpaid? And that was to sell the How to Market Yourself course. Right. And that eliminates a lot of people. So I thought this one was worth testing because it's kind of it's a positive promise, and it's like no matter where you are in your career, I could see you kind of latching onto it.
Right.
And so it actually is double. It's more than 100% better so far than what I was using before. So the
Oh, wow.
5 learning mistakes software developers make was the headline for the previous lead magnet. That one was converting at like 1.2%. This is converting at 2.4%. So it's
wow.
basically doubled our leads. And so I think I need to go back and look, but I think that the book, so far the book, like Get the Complete Software Developer's Career Guide free, that offer was converting closer to 4%. So that was like the best thing we've ever tried by far.
Right.
But all the people that signed up for it seemed like they were useless. So, because we couldn't sell anything to them. So I'm hoping that this one, I'm going to try, I think I'm going to let it run for a while and then maybe try some kind of isolated promotion just to those people to get an idea of how, I think that'll be a better, I feel like that's going to be a better group than what we were getting off of the career guide. Right. So I'm going to test. So I'll probably let that run for a little bit. I want to make sure that it's not, you get a bump when you do a new lead magnet. People go, oh, I haven't seen this before. And they sign up for it. So I want to make sure that I have enough time. So at least 2 weeks for that to fade. But so far it's been rock steady ever since day one. It's been the same conversion rates on both options. So I'm A/B testing it. So that seems like it's working. So what I'm going to do is then I'm going to test something against that, see if I can beat that. And I'm going to try to do at least maybe 5 to 10 tests like that. And then when I find one that works really, really well, I'm going to go back and basically write, not a full sales funnel, but like kind of basically turn the lead magnet into an email course.
Right.
And it's going to be, it's probably going to be an introduction to all of our products versus selling one specific product. And then I will do, I think what I'll do is, I'll be like, hey, habit 1 maybe is going to be learning how to learn. And then I'll have I'll have the email course, like they can opt into the 5 learning mistakes email course from that first email, for example.
Yeah.
And so I'll make all those emails into other email sequences. And so I think that's going to work. Yeah, I think that's going to potentially work pretty well. So I was surprised how well that headline's converting. So that is pretty exciting. Our sales are definitely still kind of slumping here. Like it's a lot better than it was. I fixed, there were did I talk about the sender name issue last week? The email address
that you sent some of them as you and some of them as John.
Yeah. So I've switched over now to devcareers@simpleprogrammer.com, and our open rates are up 25% like across the board.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So something happened with the John@simpleprogrammer address, and I don't know if it was like too many people got ticked off and clicked the spam button at once or what, but we were getting quarantined somewhere, and our open rates were down 25% for the broadcasts. So instead of getting a 20% open rate, we were getting a 15.
I wonder if I should switch some of mine over so that it's.
You could test. Just send a broadcast with a new email address. I thought usually
dev chat or something.
Yeah, like usually that hurts you to switch it up like that. The new email address kind of has to get seasoned.
Right.
But in this case, it was tainted somehow. So
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It seemed to happen around the time we did the Clever Programmer promotion. So I'm thinking that maybe one of those emails or just the whole series kind of irritated enough people that they pounded the spam button or something.
I've heard a few people having deliverability issues that switched from Drip to like ConvertKit or something.
Yeah.
Their delivery went up. I don't know how all that works, so I don't know how.
I heard it. I know somebody that had that issue too. I think that probably what happened there, I don't think it's anything specific to Drip. I think because both Drip and ConvertKit are using third parties to send their emails.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's
SendGrid.
Yeah, I don't know that there's really any significant difference in terms of how they're managing
Right.
all the deliverability stuff. Like, I doubt that there's much of a difference. But what happened is they basically got a clean slate, I think. And
Oh, really?
yeah, I think they just got, they got a clean, because they're sending from new sending domains.
Oh,
And,
right.
Right. Like, the emails, there's enough of a different, emails have a different look to them. Probably there's some, HTML is going to be different and everything. So I think that my guess is that's probably what happened more so than drip being the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that but yeah, our sales are still, they're better. Like, there were some paper cut type problems that I found. Like, I realized that the way that I was forwarding the old URLs over to the new sales pages, anybody who tried to buy from the discount offers that we had in any of our books, the discount code was getting dropped off the URL. So
no.
they were seeing the full price. Yeah, so they thought they were going to save $100, and then they were getting the full price, and so they weren't going to buy.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a few of those, and that, fixing that helped a little bit. Fixing the email deliverability seems like it's helped a little bit, but we're still, I think we're chugging along, and it looks like it's going to be around, probably, I think this month we're going to be around 10K. Last month it was like 6 or 8. It was really bad.
Ooh, wow.
Down 2/3 from where we were. We were averaging 18,000 like clockwork every month. And then basically in March, it just all went in the toilet.
Yeah,
and,
you vested as a partner and quit working. I know how this goes.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I've been like beating my head against the wall. I've been like very deliberately with John, like, all right, John, like, here's everything I have tried to figure this out. Just so he knows that I'm not sabotaging things. But yeah, so I do not know what's up with that. But I launched, so I've been thinking a lot about most of my time lately, my free brain power has been going to try to figure out like what business model I really want to have going forward, because I don't want, like, I do not want the business model to be just publishing courses, kind of like what we've been doing. So really, I know, like, I'm positive now that some form of direct coaching is going to be a big component.
Oh, wow.
In the future. So either it's going to be, so there's like two business models that I'm considering. So the first one is taking everything that John has taught, that our audience has, benefited from, and then systematizing it into courses that we can put people through kind of as a group to deliver a specific result. So like Brian Harris's Get 10K Subs is a good example of this, where you start, they launch it every 3 or 4 months. Everybody starts together. You're all kind of working toward a common goal of growing your email list to 10,000. And there's like a definitive end goal that you're working towards. So for this, it might be like a 90-day thing to help you get your first programming job. So that would be, the type of thing we'd be working towards. Or so that's like one option. And in that case, I probably would have me and several other people would be doing a lot of like group coaching, hand holding, really giving people actionable next steps. So that's one model that I'm considering. The other model is focusing all the efforts on building a community where it's like a paid community, and then one of the things that we would have in that would be a platform for developers to connect with people that could mentor them.
Right.
So, and we would basically be facilitating that. So it would be it would almost be like a marketplace for people who want to grow in their careers and people who want to mentor others and earn some side income.
Yeah, there are other systems out there that do this, though. So you'd have to look at those and decide.
So yeah, tell me about that. Because I haven't seen any, but I've seen one that they were trying to do it, and it looks like the guy got distracted and pivoted. There's codementor.io I'm aware of. And they're technical. They're focused on like getting, so it's like you log in and you're working on a JavaScript project and you need help refactoring some hideous jQuery, and you find somebody who's good at jQuery and they help you. It's almost more like facilitated pair programming.
Yeah.
That's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like, I am a junior Java developer, and I need somebody who is a senior Java developer to kind of help me figure out, like, okay, what are the gaps in my knowledge?
Right.
You know, how do I make connections? Like basically kind of having somebody help you work through a lot of the simple programmer ideals, you know, or principles, and incorporate them into your career and level up by doing that.
Right. So, what's his name? Jonathan. I can't remember.
There was a guy. Let me see if I can get it. For some reason, Chrome will not. There we go. So somebody told me there was a.
Anyway, there was another one that AirPair.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that one.
But they're mostly technical focused as well.
Yeah, and Plural Sight's creating one also that is technically focused.
But you can have them. How do I say it? You can actually have them help you with other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you can go beyond the technical. So if you wanted to post something on there, I don't know if it, if you post it to like soft skills or whatever, which I hate. Every time I hear that term, I hate it more.
Soft skills.
Yeah. But
is it airpair.com?
I think so. But yeah,
software, jobs, and programming resources. So what I'm seeing so far is that there are several people that have tried.
Oh, they went to courses. That's interesting.
What I'm seeing is that there are several people that have tried this and failed. So there's also devgo.com, which I think is pretty close to what I'm talking about doing. But if you go to that site, like from what I saw a couple of days ago, it was basically just like a homepage and stuff from what I heard. So it seems like there's several people
on the show last week.
Oh, really? Was he talking about this at all, or blockchain?
He was talking about his talking about his book, Light Functional JavaScript.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, he's been doing a lot of blockchain stuff lately.
Okay. So it seems like several people have taken a run at this, but failed. And I'm feeling so that could be a warning sign, but I think it's not, because they don't have an email list of 75,000 to jumpstart something like this.
I hear you, Josh, but you're different.
Yes. No, I'm different. No, so this type of thing takes.
Sorry, I have to poke you in the eye if I can.
No, this type of thing takes a lot of momentum to get started.
Yeah.
And so the fact that several people have tried already is a good sign, because it means that other people are thinking about tackling the same problem. If I saw somebody that had a big audience that tried it and failed, I'd be a lot more nervous about it.
Yeah. Well, Kyle Simpson has quite a following in the JavaScript space.
Yeah. Let me see I'm curious, like what his Twitter, what's his, let's see, Kyle Simpson.
I should know it off the top of my head, but I don't.
So JavaScript author. Yeah, he's a Plural Sight guy. He's on
Edify.
Front-end masters. Yeah, he doesn't really have a platform though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So if he had a big, okay, let's see what he's got on Twitter. He's probably got, I imagine, pretty big, but Twitter's basically useless.
Yeah.
38,000 followers on Twitter, but that's like an email list of like 2,000 or 3,000 people, if that.
Yeah. Well, and he has a Medium blog, but he hasn't posted to it in almost a year.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, so he doesn't have a platform. So, but I think what I'm going to try to do with this is I know that the first option I talked about will work. I feel like this option is something that if it worked, it would could scale potentially a lot bigger and end up being a bigger thing in the end.
Right.
But it's going to be harder to get started. So I'm thinking, I know for a fact that I want to do the paid membership community, and I actually launched this last week.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to be working. I think I'm going to be working on paid membership community is going to be my focus for the next couple months at least. So last week I was just like, I mentioned this with Manny, the meditation, or motion is superior to meditation comment that I made. So we did some coaching, and I also, all the people that responded that were interested in the coaching, which was about 40 people, I replied to them and said, hey, I'm also thinking about launching this community. Are you interested? And I got 10 or 12 people signed up for $19 a month. And it's literally just a paid community right now.
Wow.
So I started it as a Slack room. I think I'm going to transition it next week to a forum of some kind, because it will be like the Slack is great, but I think once Slack gets beyond 20 people, it's too much.
That's fair.
I mean, even the Entre Programmers group is only about 10 or like maybe 15 or 20 people, and it's kind of a lot sometimes. Like it's not busy all the time, but when it gets busy, it's like a little bit much for me to keep track of. So I want to have 500 or 1,000 people in this within a few months, and I think that's not going to happen in Slack. So
a 500 person Slack room would
be insane.
It's nuts. And with a forum, you can get some conversations going without having it become overwhelming.
And the key with the forum is it has to be emailing people notifications.
Yeah, DisCourse does that.
Yeah. So I'm going to look at DisCourse. There's one other software that a bunch of people have recommended to me called Zenforo or something, or Zenfolio or something.
Okay.
And I'm going to look at that as well next week. And then I'm just going to move everything over to that, and I'm just going to start selling the thing. I think what I'm going to do is open it up. So I think I'm going to open it up gradually. So I'm going to start I offered these people access for $19. I eventually want to charge $49 a month for it.
Right.
And I think what I'm going to do is go out and say, like, pick a segment of the list that's very active and say, hey, charter members, $19, you can get in, you keep this for life, do it. And then I'll open it up to maybe like 100 slots or 50 slots or something at $19. Then I'm going to go up to $29 and broaden the segment out, get more people in, and then do like so that way I should have like 100 or 200 people, and it should be active. They'll be the most engaged people. And I think if I do it that way, they'll be paying less, but I think also the fact that they're paying less and they have that locked in should help with retention.
Yeah, that's true.
So what I don't want is I could try to get everybody in at $49, but I don't want to do that and then have everybody drop at 3 months, like typically happens. So I want it to be, I want to have like a core group that's very active, that are incentivized to stay. So that's kind of what I'm going to be focusing on and then from that, I'm going to I think I'll experiment with the paid mentorship thing and just see if there's any interest.
Right.
And when I sent out the emails about the coaching that we were going to be doing, I had one of the people that replied was like, hey, I've coached 3 developers and helped them get jobs in Silicon Valley. Would you be interested in having me be a coach? So I think that it should become clear, like it should sort of emerge.
Right.
If it's going to work, I think it will just sort of start to happen naturally.
And
then at that point, what I'll do is just start to build. I think I'm actually going to build a software. So it'll be like, like we probably would have a way for people to have profiles. with reviews on them and
Right.
ways to make it easy for people to find, like, okay, this guy's a senior JavaScript developer.
Mhm.
He's done what I want to do. He's got 5-star reviews. Like, I'll work with him.
Right.
But
oh wow, I just had an idea on that.
Okay.
So, and this is something I keep telling people who are, that I've been coaching for career stuff, is essentially, look, they want to hire you because you know how to do what they need done.
Mhm.
And so, what would be interesting is not only have them be able to say, I've worked with whatever library or tool or whatever,
right.
but also allow them to link out to pull requests or videos or something where they have demonstrated that they know what they're doing.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. I like that. Yeah.
Because, so if they say, look, I've built in, I don't know, devise in Ruby on Rails, right?
Mhm.
Then they can link to a pull request where they did that, even if it's on their own project. It's just like, look, just
Right.
put it all in a pull request,
Right.
Or a merge, and that way people can go look and see what you did.
I like that. Yeah, integrating with GitHub somehow
Yeah,
would be pretty sweet.
that'd be something I'd totally be willing to partner on and see if we can, help you fund it.
Cool. Yeah, because I think I don't know. I feel like the demand is there for this, so I think I'm going to proceed down. Like, I think I'm going to kind of proceed down that path, because if I could pick one of the other, I feel like that would scale better, because I'd be building a community within a technology. So, I'd have like a technical platform, and but the real asset is this big community, which we already have. And that's where I think potentially, like, if you started this without the community, it would be very difficult.
Yeah.
Almost it might be impossible, unless to build something like this with paid traffic would be really, really tough. But since we already have a very good community already, I think we can get it going. But I think I'm going to sort of go down that track cautiously, and then put most of my efforts there, but like kind of also start working on the other side of things.
Yeah.
As far as like developing a coaching program of our own, in case that doesn't work out.
Yeah. I'd be interested in being involved in some of that too. So
excellent. Yeah, I think it could be like it could almost be like a more specific version of Clarity FM. Like where like Clarity's like you can hire someone hourly to get their advice. This would be like you could hire someone hourly to get their advice, but potentially, and it would be more specific to development, and you could work with them on have some kind of mechanisms. You could work with them on an ongoing basis.
Yep.
But yeah, I think I think there's a lot of opportunity for developers to raise their own profiles by becoming mentors.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's where I'm headed.
Yeah, but I'm learning that a lot of this stuff is a lot of work.
It is. This will be a ton of work. Actually, either of these will be a ton of work.
Yeah.
But I think
my primary, I hear you. Yeah, it's good to have that primary focus.
Yeah.
Know what?
Yeah, one thing that I really got clarity on this week was that I definitely want to build something that could be purchased, could be acquired. I don't know that that's not my goal necessarily to get it acquired, but I want to. There's no sense building something that is replicating the weaknesses of what we already have. Like, I don't want to just perpetuate that. So like the personality focus, I don't want to just step in and replicate that all over again, because that makes it very difficult to sell.
Well, the other thing is, and this is like, I have no intention of ever selling devchat.tv. That's not to say that won't change, but I don't see any circumstances where I'm going to want to give it up.
Right.
But having that idea in mind is really empowering, in the sense that, you know what, why would anyone want to buy this if it's such a mess?
Right. Yep.
with all the stuff that I was talking about with you. And so the
Yeah.
same thing there, right? Why would
Yeah.
anyone want to buy it with these problems and the fact that we don't get to bring John Sonmez with us, or
Right.
whoever the
Exactly.
personality is?
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a ton
Yep.
of sense.
Yeah, and it actually, like, the other thing it does is I am going to start thinking about who would want to acquire us and how can we make it attractive to them, and what relationships can I build to maybe
Mhm.
facilitate that. Like, because if I build this platform that I'm talking about with the mentorship and it actually works, that's something that Plural Sight would potentially want to buy down the
Yeah.
road. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, so that one, I think that model versus the developing our own training courses and stuff, I think that would be more acquisition friendly. Seems
Yeah.
like, because it's more something more like Upwork,
Mm-hmm.
where where it would be an easy thing for a company to just buy and bolt into what they're already doing.
Yep.
So I know Plural Sight is actually working on they're working on a mentorship type of thing, but it's more like the pair programming we talked about.
Yep.
So, but
Cool.
yeah.
They should just go acquire AirPair or something.
Yeah. Well, you need critical mass. Like, there's no value to it until like there's no value to it until the value's in the network
Yeah.
built. And like the technology, I mean, Pluralsight could throw something together in 3 weeks that would be better, because they're a $1 billion company, so they could throw 3 developers onto something and pretty much blow away anything that I could build, in a year.
That's true. I mean, 3 developers, or 5, but basically with unlimited resources.
Exactly. And a lot, and all the infrastructure of a big, I mean, Pluralsight's basically a software company.
They are.
I mean,
the
really.
trick is that they've figured out how to make the transition once they have the software ready.
Yep.
To staff the other stuff, right?
Right.
And I find that a lot of coding entrepreneurs, they're really great at the technical end of things, and then they kind of fail at hiring or whatever the rest of the stuff is. So.
Yep.
But yeah.
So
yeah, my big focus over the next few months is just to get this machine bolted together. And I think I'm well on my way, but yeah, just getting all of these parts working together.
Yeah.
And understanding, who the next couple of people I need are. And then once I have all of that working, so it's, hey, the podcasts kind of take care of themselves. The mailing list kind of takes care of itself. In other words, I have people, managing that and systems managing that. Then I can sit down and I can say, okay, what's kind of the next clear thing that I should be chasing?
Right. I think for me, like, I need to answer this question before I can do what you're doing right now. Like, I need to figure out which of these 2 paths I'm going to go down. And once I do that, then the roles will become very clear.
Yep.
But yeah, kind of, this is really the big question I have to answer for me in the next 3 months.
Well, you can do it. The other thing to keep in mind, and I guess this will transition a little bit into thoughts maybe, because I need to get off soon anyway.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm also figuring out that a lot of this stuff isn't permanent. And I know that I've said that a few times on the show, but I think a lot of times we get caught up in, well, what's the right decision? And that's not to say that you don't need to do the work to figure out what the right direction to go is. But if you get a ways down that road and you figure out, what, this really isn't it, it's okay to back up, turn around, and go the other way.
Yes.
And so a lot of times I stress myself out thinking, oh, what about this? Or, oh, what about that? And
trying to make the right decision up front with insufficient information.
Well, and in situations where it's kind of impossible to get all of the information.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, so why put yourself through that? Why not just, anyway, so that's kind of my thought is essentially, do the best you can to make the right decision and then don't sweat it. Just be willing to reevaluate periodically. It's kind of what agile development does.
And make small bets, right?
Yeah.
So, think about like for me, this membership forum is sort of the simplest possible version of where I want to go. So I'm going to start with that. And I might, if I get it to 100 people and I'm like, holy cow, I just cannot push, like I'm pushing a boulder uphill and it's like rolling back and crushing me, then maybe I'm going to pivot. So for me, I'm going to talk, I think like the big thing for me was just the importance of finding a community where you really resonate with people. And, like I've talked in the past few weeks how I really don't have like any friends per se that like, I don't have anybody locally that I hang out with.
I'll be your friend, Josh. But you're not living out there.
But so I went to this event and like, there's just, I resonated with Perry originally, and then the people that also resonated with Perry, like it is stunning how similar I end up being to these people and how much we have in common. And I feel like it's like my family, and it's really cool. So like I went there, and to this event, there were about 200 people there, and I probably like there were a couple people. There's one guy that I met last year in Roundtable, in Perry's Roundtable, Charlie, and he's a woodworker. He's got a woodworking business, but I kind of liked him, and we talked in Roundtable. But then he and I ended up staying in the same motel, not hotel, but motel. Right. And so we ended up spending a good bit of time together this week, and it was stunning how many things we had in common. Like he and I were both firstborns, both homeschooled. And like, I didn't know any of this stuff about him, but I just kind of liked him. And it was just like, we kind of went through our life histories, and there was like so many parallels. And so it's just, finding, if you feel like you're not fitting into a community, it's not you, necessarily. Right. Like I've always, like at church and like different groups and stuff, I never really fit in. I never really feel like I have any that much like attraction to or interest in other people. But that is totally changed when I'm in the right group. And everybody I met, was so encouraging, and it's really cool when you find that fit. So it's worth getting out there and trying different things. And don't like, if you feel like you're in a group and it's not clicking, it's probably not you, and it's just not the right group for you.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think a lot of times we try and change who we are to fit in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I found at least that you won't be happy long term that way. So
yeah. Like for me, like I've been to a bunch of different conferences, like Traffic and Conversion is a good example. I met a lot of smart people there and doing interesting things, but I just never there was just no like real connection,
Right.
It wasn't like I didn't feel like I was making friends. And at this event, it's like, there's probably like half a dozen people that I talked to that I could see becoming like lifelong friends.
Yep. Because
there's a lot more, there's just like a lot of shared life experiences.
Yep. And
common values. So.
Absolutely. All right.
Cool.
Well,
all right.
I guess we're done.
We did good for just the two of us.
Yeah. Well, I had a lot to talk about. I just been going through all this stuff, so
I'm excited to see what you're up to.
Yep. And next week I'll have a whole week to recover from the funeral, so I'll probably be coherent. Of course, my wife's going out of town on Wednesday and she's coming back on Sunday, so maybe I won't be coherent.
You'll be bound and gagged in the closet.
Oh my gosh. Or they will. One of the two.
Yeah. This house ain't big enough for all of us.
Don't make me get out the duct tape.
All right. Catch you later.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Want to start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek as we figure it out. We are the Yantra programmers, and we'll teach you straight up.